I'm looking for a guy in finance. 6 foot, blue eyes, finance. Hello, my friends, and welcome. My name is Ansu, and today I wanted to sit down and do a January wrap up. See, I had good intentions in the start of this year that I was going to post regularly and I was going to be really good at it. And then January 2nd, the day that I needed to film, I got hit with the flu. And I'm still recovering in the sense that my voice is not completely back, so that's not great. But we're going to power through and get through this because what are we doing otherwise, right? Let's get into it. The first book I read was When I Kill You by B.A. Paris. This is coming out in February, so I did get an early copy from NetGalley. This starts off with Nell Masters and she feels like someone is watching her. She has a prickly feeling behind her neck and she's getting these silent calls to her office that's freaking her out. Why she freaked out so badly is because 14 years ago, when Nell went by the name Elle Nugent, she had witnessed Briony Saunders getting into a car with some random man, and later in that day, Briony ends up dead. So she suspects this dude, and she gets obsessed with finding out the truth because she really feels like she herself was responsible for Briony's death. Now it's the present day, and Nell is just trying to convince herself that no one's actually watching her. Maybe no one found her past life. She's also with this guy named Alex, and it seems like he has his own secrets for some reason, and he seems very shady, okay? And it is an interesting book, I'll give it that. It did go between like two timelines, right? So Elle Nugent and Nell Masters as well. So we had these two different timelines of the same person, and I thought Elle Nugent, when she was younger, the tension that that character had, the stress that she was going through, the insane things that she was doing, that was really good at keeping me hooked. What happened now as Nell Masters is that she's really just stressed out that someone is following her, that she's gonna die, whatever. And you can see her freaking out, and I'm just like, that, when it became solely just about Nell Masters, I slowly stopped caring that much. Like I said, this is very, very fast paced, at least it was for me, and I literally read it in one day. And this was the first book I read in January, like literally January 1st. So it was a very fast paced book, and I did enjoy it. I give it 4 stars. The next book I also read in a single day, and that was No One Was Supposed to Die at This Wedding by Catherine Mack. This is the second book to the Vacation Mysteries series. Basically, it follows around this author who has the series of books that she's been writing. It's like a detective series. In the first book, I believe she wrote about this person in her life, and she changed his name up, but then he's getting royalties from her and stuff. It's a little messed up. She doesn't want him in her life, but he's kind of stuck in there. There is a romance between her and some other character, and if you like the writing style where the author is kind of talking to you and inserting like little quips and quirks, I think you'll really enjoy this. I'm a person who loves that kind of stuff. I like when the author seems like they're talking to you and you just kind of have this rapport with them. I personally really enjoy that. The second story was the mystery of it was ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie to you. Honestly, it was a little far-fetched. I totally understand if you don't love that style of writing. The twist in the end, like I kind of figured out who it was gonna be, but I didn't understand their motive completely. It was just enjoyable. It was very fast-paced. Like I read it in a day. I did enjoy it. I had a good time. I give it 4 stars as well. I would actually recommend this. It's just a silly good time. The next book I read was Cover Story by Wari McFarlane. And my gosh, I really, really wanted to love this book, okay? So many people love this author, and I do have like one book that I own of her because I was like, very intrigued by the way people were talking about her, that I got a book. So I finally got to Cover Story and I read it, and it follows around 2 characters, right? It follows around Belle, who had an indie podcast, and she is working for this small office in Manchester for this national paper, and Connor, who was in finance. I'm looking for a guy in finance. 6 foot, blue eyes, finance. That's all I can think about. But anyway, I digress. Connor was in a finance role, and his passion wasn't actually investigating and writing, but obviously changing from a role that was high paying in finance to coming into this small Manchester office to try to intern and get into writing is obviously a huge change. Belle and someone else who's working with her in that team, in that little office, encounters Connor, and then there's just like kind of mean to him, and Connor comes off a bit standoffish. Belle one day bumps into Connor when she's working undercover, and they kind of fake date essentially. And it goes from there. She's trying to do her undercover things, and Connor is her fake boyfriend. I just felt like this book needed so much more, and I didn't get any of it. I didn't feel the tension between these two characters. The fake dating trope is something that I absolutely love. Did not work for me. I did not care for these 2 characters. I didn't feel their chemistry, and I just overall did not give a shit. I kind of forced myself to read this while I was on the plane from a trip, and I just had to really force myself to finish it because I'm like, almost halfway done anyway. I might as well finish the book. So I didn't love it. I didn't feel like their romance really had the time to air properly, and it felt very rushed, and it ended so abruptly for me, and I didn't care for it at all. So I gave this 2.5 stars, and I'm really saddened by it, but I didn't care. Also, the writing style, I think because it was set in England, and also probably the author is from England, I don't know. The way that she writes is very unique from what I've personally read, so when I was reading the way that sentences were formed and the way that she writes, it just didn't sit properly in my brain. I couldn't understand or care, so yeah, maybe it was a me problem, but yeah, it was just a little annoying, and I did not care for this book. The last one I read is Julie Chan is Dead by Lian Zhang, and oh my gosh, let me tell you, this book is diabolical. I give it 4 stars. I did enjoy it, which I don't know what that says about me. It follows around Julie Chan, who is a supermarket cashier, and she is at the bottom of the food chain kind of a thing. Like, she barely makes enough to live by, and she has a twin sister who got adopted into a white family and is pretty rich, who is a social media influencer. The only connection that these two characters ever had was when Chloe, the social media influencer, made a video that went super viral where she bought her twin sister a house, and she was like hashtag emotional. They barely had any interactions other than that, and Julie just feels like she doesn't have anyone. She doesn't have family or friends. She's just so depressed. One day, she gets a haunting call, and she just goes to find Chloe, only to find that she's actually dead. And then Julie ends up switching positions with Chloe and steals her life essentially and acts as if she's Chloe. Julie, who's now Chloe, ends up going on this island trip, and it changes everything for her, and it is insane. Like, seriously, it is crazy. I would highly recommend you guys to not know much else about this. It has like a thriller horror type of a vibe, and it's ridiculous, like, honestly. I think you'll really enjoy this, and especially like kind of seeing how some of the social media influencers work. This is absolutely diabolical. I think you'll really enjoy this if you are looking for something like this. I don't want to say too much other than that, honestly, because it is something that you should go into a little blind, and I think you'd really enjoy. But yeah, 4 books in January, and I think this one was one of my favorites because it really blew my mind. I was just so disturbed, honestly. For all the books that I read in the month of January, I will see you guys soon with like a full best of and worst of 2025 later on. And I know it's super late, but life has to move on, right? And I still want to talk about some of the books that I read in 2025 that I really enjoyed, and I feel like it'll go to waste if I don't talk to you about it. So I will be talking about it, and you will be hearing from me soon. But that is it. I'll see you guys next time with another one. Until then, I'll talk to you all in the comments. Goodbye!